Okay, first up, sorry for not uploading last week, but the weather was sweet and I was out enjoying it, as I'm sure all of you were. And this glorious weather has worked wonders on the garden. Everything is coming out and growing so quickly. And just look at the size of this geranium amaranthe. I know I keep going on about it, but it just keeps astonishing me with how many of these hot pink blooms it puts out. The warm weather has done a fantastic job of bringing on some of the herbaceous perennials as well. So this sedum that I poked into the rocks last year is coming back and looking great. And as well as that, the Persicaria red dragon that I showed you how I planted in an earlier vlog is growing away really quickly and looks fantastic under planting the greener shrubs. Talking of the greener shrubs, just look at this euphorbia. It has got enormous, and I will have to cut it back at some point, but I just can't do it while it's in flower. And you can see the whorls of flowers and flower bracts are just starting to open now. And this plant, which we planted next to the stream, is in full bloom right opposite this heuchera, which is putting out lovely deep red leaves that contrast really well against that yellow variegated grass. And this interesting looking plant, which was identified for me by Turnit Tropical on Instagram, is Santolina Lemon Fizz. It's got this really intriguing mossy texture to it. And this is the new pairing in the garden. I moved the euphorbia next to the Persicaria because it picks up the red really well. Don't ever be afraid to tweak and change the layout in your garden. So this was one of those bargains from the home decoration shop. It was under £10 at the end of one of their summer seasons. And look, there's multiple palm trees in this pot. I've had it for a couple of years and it's grown away well, so it's time to divide it. By simply gently pulling apart the plants, I've managed to get 3 separate palms. And as you know, Trachycarpus fortunei aren't always cheap, so I'm going to spread these around the garden, and I've got a couple of planters that I'm going to put 2 in. One of those planters currently has this golden variegated fatsia. Now, this plant was a rescue from the garden centre, so it's looking a little bit feeble, but as you can see, there's new growth on the top, and I want to get it in the ground to let it reach its full potential. This regular Fatsia japonica has been in the ground for just over a year, and it's putting on so much growth. And I've also got a spider's web Fatsia japonica at the opposite end of the bed. So I'd like to put my golden variegated Fatsia in between the two, because it's always nice to plant in odd numbers. The Fatsia hadn't even been in its pot for a year, but if you look closely, it's already showing signs of being root bound. So I'm glad that I've made the decision to get it in the ground. And as you can see, it's filling out the gap between the 2 other Fatsias and the laurel nicely. And as it grows away, it's going to look good. It's also time for me to trim off the old frost scorched fronds from the tree fern, because as you can see, the new fronds are unfurling and I want to give them as much space as possible. I know it doesn't look much at the moment, but as these new fronds unfurl, it will look fantastic for the coming season. Another perennial flowering plant we have is Verbena bonariensis, and this has been left in the ground all winter, and this is all new growth this year. And I'm just going to pinch out these growing tips just to encourage a more bushy growth and more flowers. As you know, to save money, I'm growing a lot of my annual plants from seeds, and here I've sowed some Impimia and Mina lobata. These will be great climbing vines that I'll climb up through some of the shrubs and trees, as well as over the fence and shed. And here are the amaranthus seedlings that I potted on a few weeks earlier. They're coming along well, and I just have to rotate the pots from time to time because they grow leaning towards the sun. And I finally potted on the Nicotiana seedlings that we sowed earlier in another vlog. This osteospermum is a cultivar called whirligig, and its contorted petals I think look fantastic in a tropical garden, and it looks similar to like a passion flower vine. My parents had this years ago, so it's great to add it to my own garden. Another way I've saved money growing my annuals is by taking a lot of cuttings, and you can see these coleus cuttings have rooted really well. And you might remember I did 50% of them in water and the other half in soil in toilet roll tubes. So this is maybe a preview of how the ones in the toilet roll tubes are looking. So it's great to know that they're all rooting. But it's time to pot these ones on because they can't get the nutrients they need just from water. So it's a case of just putting them into multi-purpose compost and firming the soil around these new young roots. This will allow the plant to grow away and get lots of new leaves and be hardened off before I plant it out. I've actually had quite a bit of trouble getting these hibiscus cannabis seeds to germinate. Now, there weren't any special instructions, but I've soaked this batch for a few days just to try and soften the seed coat first. Now, fingers crossed this works, but if it doesn't, I've got a couple more seeds and I'll try just notching into the seed coat just to allow the water to start soaking in and encourage the seed to germinate. The Asiatic lily bulbs that I had completely forgotten about have broken the surface of the soil, and these should give a nice bit of colour early in the year. Right, it's time for me to show appreciation to all of you for watching and following along with these videos. I'm going to give away Ricinus seeds collected from the plants in my tiny tropical garden last year. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button and leave a comment on this video telling me and everybody else why you love tropical gardening. This giveaway is only open to people in the UK, and I have 3 batches of 5 seeds to post out, so 3 people will win this giveaway. And the lucky winners will be selected at random. As always guys, thanks for watching, and if you want to be part of the tiny tropical tribe, then hit that subscribe button. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you all next week. Ciao!